Right, hello, YouTube says I'm live, so here we go. I won't keep the mask on for ages, but I thought it'd make an interesting thumbnail, and at least I can actually put my glasses on sort of over this one. Alright, Daniel, you're the first person on. Sorry I didn't announce this stream. I was volunteering today, then when I got in I was really tired, so I was having a bit of a daytime nap, and then I only just got up and thought, oh, I actually better do a stream. Alright, Tarek, it's good evening here, but evening. This mask, is just like a Chinese cheap face mask. It's actually one of the decent ones. So there's the box, if that tells you anything. I guess it's the model 3700. It actually says on the mask, I think it says either 3600 or 3800, so it's a different one. I've been having a nap, Mike. I don't know if you saw my Twitter message. For some reason, I'm really tired. But I've had like a 4-hour nap, so yeah, it says 3600 on the mask there. Yeah, I know my nose is red. Well done. Yeah, I think this is actually closest to a copy of a Scott mask, because what I've done is I bought on eBay 2 replacement Scott proprietary filters for their half-face masks, and I'm pretty sure they use the same sort of connector as this. If not, I'm going to set them up to go in the M65, which you might have seen yesterday, the Chinese mask. You know, where I took the cheek filter out of it. Because I reckon something like this would sit in a cheek filter fine. But even if they, you know, I'm hoping it will fit on the Scott, but not the Scott. I mean, I'm hoping the Scott filters fit on this. You can see how tired I am. But we'll see. But thanks to everybody who's donated recently, because I'm cashing the Patreon money out any day now for the last couple of months. Because at the moment it's not finished processing all the pledges. But I've bought this morning a Finish M71 gas mask, which is the Finish panoramic lens mask. It's sort of the same sort of rubber and straps as the M61, but it's the panoramic lens. Glad you quit Call of Duty to watch me. Don't know what that says, but so yeah, I've made myself a coffee now. I don't know if it's a good idea at 8 o'clock in the evening to have a fairly strong coffee, but I thought I'd just do that just simply so I can be awake for if Mike's on Twitch later or whatever. Oh, thank you very much, Laser. I really appreciate that. But cheers. Yeah, so what I've done, yeah, is they're actually official Scott ones I've ordered. I think they're expired, but on eBay there was somebody selling like individually sealed bulk expired Scott filters, and the more you bought, the cheaper they were. And if you bought 2, it was £3.75 with free postage. So I thought I'll try that, and then yeah, I'll see if these fit on the Scott mask, and then if not, well, not even the Scott mask. I keep saying that. I'll see if the Scott filters fit on this mask, if they're the same kind of connector as these. But regardless, I think I should be able to get them to fit in the cheek of the M65. Did you see the pictures on Discord? But thank you very much for that donation. And as I was saying again, thank you to anybody that donates on Patreon or whatever, because I'll be cashing that out over the next couple of days. But I'll show you that again, because so there's the M65 without the cheek filter in it. As you can see, big hollow cavity. There is the tube in that corner where it connects to the mask. If I hold it up to the light, you can probably maybe see through there a little bit. Yeah, that's where, look, the bit goes in for the actual bit of the mask. And there's the bizarre actual cheek filter of the M65. So yeah, interestingly, the components actually attach to the metal ring that sits on the filter. I've got the rubber band back on there and all the bits so I don't lose them. But yeah, that goes on that way. Obviously that clicks on there. But yeah, so it's literally a cheek filter. It's just one that's built into a metal housing. So it says 8110 there, so I don't know if that means that it was a filter from 1980, like 1st October or something. Or maybe that's 11/0, November. I don't know. But they're the only markings I can see on it. But yeah, it's a weird filter, isn't it? Yeah, so I'm saying it's only because I'm in the last stream. If you haven't seen it, it might be worth you watching it back. I decided to, why not, open up the M65 without trying to damaging it. And I was just very carefully using pliers to take all the bits on there. So basically what you have to do to get the cheek filter out of this is very slowly work off the wire and all the bits that hold this bit under tension. Then you can actually peel this back like a regular cheek filter and get the bits out. But yeah, what I can see now is, because obviously this filter's here at the moment, is I'll just do this again like I was doing yesterday, so I'm not doing all of this off stream. It'll be a little bit more interesting. I reckon if I've rigged this up somehow, I could probably get this to make a seal in this. Let me just try it. Stretch slightly. I reckon this will work. I mean, leaving it in for too long will deform the cheek cavity, but as I said, it's probably not safe to breathe through the original filters in this. So, I could also try this with the PBF as well. I imagine this might work quite well with the PBF, like that bit sticking out the outside of the PBF. It wouldn't really matter which way round you have this, I don't think, because the filter's going to work whichever way round it is, even if you're not using the mask side connected. It keeps going out of frame, sorry about that. That's pitching very hard on my finger. Right, okay, it's almost there. Sorry if I'm not reading the chat very much. I'm still quite interested in this M65 project I've been doing. Right, here we go. So, ta-da! I reckon this will work. Because that's going to be surely an airtight seal around there. And if you wanted it to be more tight, you could just basically do what they did before and put a bit of wire on there to hold it in place. I'm just going to see if I can get this completely up to the plastic seal. And we'll try it in a second. Again, the problem is if you empty old gas mask filters, that itself is actually quite dangerous, because you're having to cut open the filter and then you're exposing whatever's in the filters here. So that looks pretty official there, doesn't it? If you didn't know better, that looks like now that might actually be the proper filter that sits in the mask. Right, let's have a look. If I was more of a prick, and I hadn't done this on video, this is the sort of thing where you could then take photos of this and go, oh, I've got a rare prototype gas mask. Nobody's seen one like this before, where I've seen other people blatantly do that with some masks. Well, I can't 100% prove they've done it, you know, where you're 99% sure that somebody's literally got a regular mask, cut some bits off of other masks and glued them together. Yeah, I was thinking about that. You could get 3M pads, couldn't you, and totally fill that bit up with 3M pads in there, but over 100, gaming with your mum, probably 130 odd now at this point. So let me have some coffee and then let's try the mouse and see if it works. Again, this filter doesn't 100% work anyway, but the Shim 41's older young rail enthusiast. Basically, the Shim 41 has a longer metal valve assembly, and that's the main difference. The rubber's a bit thicker as well, but Shim 41 is the military one. GP5 is like the cheap and civilian variant they made for mass production. I assume it's just a rubber swing. Okay, so annoyingly, with this like this, it actually puts more pressure there for some reason. I really don't know why. But anyway, let me get the banana oil out. I know it won't completely work because let's see if I can get. That's right. Never mind. I haven't got this strap down properly. That's better. Right. Yeah, I can faintly smell it, but that smell is actually just the filter not being big enough to fully absorb it. But yeah, the mask works in every way, just that filter isn't actually good enough. But I reckon it's airtight around this bit. It's just simply that this filter doesn't fully block the banana oil. Yeah, so let's get this off. Yeah, the only reason I did it with my M65 is I got bored on the stream yesterday and I was actually wondering what the filters look like in there. Yeah, it's a very similar kind of plastic, isn't it? That one looks like that, and obviously that looks like that. But yeah, it's a similar kind of plastic. But I reckon if you really spent enough time online looking for one, you could probably, find a filter that looks really similar or fit the cavity really well, if you could be bothered. But as I said, I've got some filters on order. So when the Scott ones come, I will find out if they work well. I'm hoping they do. Let me just see if I can find out what those Scott filters are called. But they're the filters, obviously, for the small masks. I can find pictures of them, but I can't actually seem to find out what they're called very easily. But they're not the 40mm ones. They're the ones that are obviously for the smaller masks. Scott Tornado filters, it might be that. Let me just Google that, Scott Tornado filter. I don't know, some of these coming up are just 40mm. So I'm not sure, but basically Scott do a proprietary half face mask, and the point was that I reckon this Chinese mask has copied the Scott proprietary filter intake. Like, how a lot of them copy 3M. Also, that was another thing. I reckon that you could probably get 3M filters, like the flat 3M filters could fit in here really well, actually properly into the cheek cavity. Sadly, there aren't replica GP5 filters, but anyway, I'm just going to get this filter back out here now. So that's that back out. That's easy enough to do. There's the mask back as it was. But anyway, I'll go back to the chat a bit more. Yeah, I reckon, Laser, if you did enough experimenting with different filters, I reckon you would find a filter that would fit really well into that cavity. I think so far some of the 3M kind of ABAC or, like the 3M vapor kind of filters would probably fit quite well into that cavity. I've never bought any FM12 outserts, so I can't help you there, I'm afraid. I'd get an FMJ09 eventually when they're cheap enough, but I'd want to get an FMJ08 first. Yeah, as I said, when my Scott filters come, I'll see what that does. But yeah, as you just saw in the video, I reckon with this, because you've got such a stretchy, big cheek filter bit you can get at from the outside on this mask when a cheek filter is removed, I reckon you could get a lot of filters to work in there as long as they're not 40mm. Yeah, I've got Amazon Prime Peach. Is there anything good on the Prime streaming thing at the moment? You could. I don't know if you saw in the video yesterday, but I got a PBF filter to go in there. But obviously the issue is PBF filters also contain asbestos. Yeah, sadly, young rail enthusiast, when I got mine, there was cheap ones for 30 quid, and then there were the more expensive ones that looked more authentic, but they were like 100 quid. Now I can't find the cheap ones at all, otherwise I would link people. That's annoying. I don't think my FP203 had super secure things, but it still worked at least. Oh, I've heard quite a lot of people talking about that peach, so I might check it out. I'd say you just have to check eBay and see when one turns up for good prices, unfortunately. Because quite often, yeah, some Israeli masks are sold with crazy shipping, like buying masks from Russia. Yeah, I'm trying to think now. What type of different proprietary filters are there? Half-face respirator. I'm just going to Google half-face respirator and look at all the different brands that come up. Yeah, the 3M ones definitely look like they might be a good candidate for putting as a cheek filter. What's this one? Does this have a particular name? Because this looks really good for a cheek filter mask. GVS. Oh, that's blocking my thing. Let me just Google GVS and see if that's Okay, GVS ellipse. If you search GVS ellipse, sorry, I'm going off the chat again to do this. Half mask. The filters for that look like they are kind of cheek filter shaped. Let's just see if you can buy the filters separately. I'm sure you can. Alright, Screwfix stock the filters for these. This is a bit expensive, but I reckon this might work for somebody who was really keen on sort of doing it. If you have a look at these, oh, that's annoying. The link is too long to fit. Okay. Anyway, I'll just put in the name of the filter anyway. It is GVS ellipse replacement respiratory filters. If you Google that, you'll probably find them. But it looks like you get a HEPA filter that sticks on the front of a particulate filter. But the particulate filters on their own for that are only like £8, so they're not too bad, actually, price-wise. So maybe I'll think about trying one of those in that mask or something. The M17. The thing is, the M17 is a very nice mask in terms of like straps and comfort and everything. It's just got the cheek filters you can't change. And again, this has even worse filters in a sense because this was designed so soldiers couldn't change the filter at all, because you literally needed pliers to take all the bits apart on here so you can take the filter out. I don't know if a single cheek filter mask is better or worse than a double cheek filter mask, to be honest, because it's still a cheek filter mask. Yeah. I was wearing a mask earlier, hamster boy. I'm not going to put another one back on. Oh, he's rolled over on his own accord. An assault mask must be a very dangerous mask, Riley. It probably has semi-auto clipazines. GP3, as far as I'm aware, there's not a Soviet GP3. There's the GP2, which is the Soviet World War II civilian mask. Then there's the GP4, which is that green one. Obviously, GP5 GP5M, but I'm pretty sure there's not a GP3, just as there's not a GP8 or a GP6. But again, there might have been prototype masks that were around at some point. Yeah, I'd like a drum mag filter. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? What kind of assault filter is this, do you reckon? Ooh. Not that on the floor. What? It's fallen over again, is it? It's fall off. Sorry, I just put that mask back on there and it's rolled off somewhere. I immediately can't see where it's rolled to. Yeah, what sort of assault filter is this, do you reckon, Rick? Yeah, it's on ours. Yeah, I reckon. The thing is, I would show them at the moment, laser, but I don't. I'll have a look in my drawer and just see if I can find them. But somewhere I did have still some P3, like 3M pads that I hadn't thrown away that I just had to spare. But trying to find them might be the bigger issue. You know, like, I've obviously cut this one up, but this kind of thing. But yeah, I reckon you could get a particulate filter to fit that really easily. I mean, the little pads like that I definitely think would fit. It's whether or not some of the ones with the actual casings on would fit. That's what I'm sort of interested about. Again, I don't know which drawer I ended up, wherever I ended up putting that in. Let me just try something else, actually. See, I reckon this might work as well. I mean, these are probably going to be a bit too big to squeeze in, I'm not sure. But the other 3M shaped pads might work. So I reckon if I put both of these against each other like that. Cheers, Nazar, for helping to remind people to do that, because I'm always really forgetful about that. So let's put one in this way round. Actually, saying this, these are a bit flexible. The cavity is definitely big enough to fit them. It's whether or not I can get them in without sort of damaging them. But yeah, I reckon I can. And also, they'll have to sit in there in a way where they won't kind of move too far away from the thing. Because obviously the problem with this is, because this is the bit where it attaches to the mask, you need them to keep sitting at the bottom left of it. Because if they sit at the wrong angle, they won't work. Let's just try getting a second one in there. That's interesting, Laser. If it wasn't in my car, what I'd also do was I'd actually get out the plastic 3M filters I've got, you know, like the fiberglass P3 ones that sit in those plastic cases, because they might be quite good. Yeah, thank you, Ghost Jesus. Oh, I think I sent you a message on Patreon, but thank you for increasing your pledge the other day when you did that. I appreciate that. But yeah, so let's have a look. This looks like it might actually work. There'd be a lot of different ways you could do this, because this is obviously like a quite a versatile cheek. It's probably the only cheek filter mask I like, ironically, even though it's traditionally like the worst cheek filter mask. Right, let's fully undo the strap for the cheek filter cavity at the moment. Right, there we go. Let's get this back on. I can get the MM1 down in another live stream, yeah. Alright, cool, yeah, I'll have a look later on, thank you. Right, so definitely still pressure seals if you do that. But can get anything get around, that's the question. I can smell a bit of vapour through that, but I'm not sure if that's vapour or particulate, but it's quite faint. Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I'll get the MM1 down if you want me to on another stream. Yeah, I think you could definitely do something like that, couldn't you? Put something inside so it holds something else there, sort of thing. Because yeah, part of the problem is you don't want it moving around. Yeah, V, if you missed the bits earlier, we were trying to retrofit it with other filters. I got this filter to sit in it properly and actually work, but the issue is this filter, because it's quite small, doesn't actually fully block vapors. So you can still smell the banana oil through the filter, but it made an airtight seal just by literally stretching this bit over and having it inside the cavity like that. But that was interesting enough. But yeah, there'd be quite a lot of different ways of doing it, I imagine. I didn't think you had a Chinese M65 slingshot. Yeah, I think there'd definitely be a way of doing it with this mask. I don't know, I've just become very interested in that now. Can I make a cheek filter mask take external filters? That's what I want to try and do with this mask now. Because, I mean, we are kind of just ignoring the fact that there is a mask called the Chinese M69, which is where they literally put a 40mm thread on almost that exact same mask. I think my M69's in this room, so let me show you. The people that don't know, the Chinese did literally come up with a fix for this look. It's essentially to get the same mask and then just put that there. I mean, it's not identical, saying that. They went to a different kind of triangular lenses and all that, but it's fundamentally kind of the same thing. I suppose this doesn't have straps either, does it? It's actually like a PMG's head bit. But they basically did just look, I think, at this mask and said, why don't we just do it with a 40mm filter? Yeah, I really like the M69 saying that. It's basically like a better version of the PMG, in my opinion. Mostly for the reason that you've got a 40mm thread there that's normalized, so you can put NATO filters on it if you want to. It's got a voice diaphragm there. And it's the standard Chinese-style voice diaphragm with the XL valve. Actually, this one's not, is it? Because it's got the voice diaphragm separate from the XL valve. But the thing I like more about this compared to the PMG is that it's built to a better standard, as in where they've got plastic bits like there and on here, it means unlike the regular PMG, the weight of it doesn't get weighed down. I suppose, yeah, the mask that's more like the hang on a second. I was going to say, yeah, the mask that's actually more like the M65's a Type 59, isn't it? Because that's, especially if you've got the older version of this that has the same bit there as this one. But yeah, in terms of like how the straps and everything work, this is actually more of a closer, yeah, what I was saying with this mask, just to demonstrate, I'm pretty sure it's normalized because this was obviously made after the Sino-Soviet split. So let's just try it. I've definitely got some NATO filters to fit in this before. Is it not like this filter in particular, or is it just it's a bit tough to get to start screwing in? Alright, I don't think that's cross-threaded. There we go. No, modern Chinese masks are much better than this one, but the Chinese PMG is kind of an interesting one. So unfortunately, this is going to be very tight and uncomfortable because I was unlucky enough to get it in size 1. But if I had this in size 2 or 3, I reckon I'd really like this mask. Oh, for what people wondering what it looks like on the inside. TSO tube going to each eye and all that. It's a pretty similar valve assembly to a Soviet mask. As you can see, pretty tight. But yeah, it pressurizes. So yeah, you can stick NATO filters onto this mask, it will accept them. Modern GP5 in what sense, Josso? But yeah, hopefully Hype might be able to find you one. I was just lucky when I found somebody selling one in Britain with the bag and everything for like no money. I think they wanted like £5 or £10 for this, and it was a buy it now. And luckily, I guess I just spotted it before anybody else did. Yeah, it's the same as a Soviet XL valve, isn't it? Where it just flaps open at the bottom. I think this is literally the exact same thing as Soviet XL valves. Yeah, I find Chinese masks quite interesting because I don't know why. You'd assume that Chinese masks would be a bit shit, but they're actually very good, a lot of them, especially the military masks. Like, as we've said before, lots of Chinese industrial made-for-whatever market masks are shit. The actual Chinese military ones are very kind of like Soviet and modernized. Yeah, I've got a TF1 somewhere. I can't remember where that is. I think that's probably just in a wardrobe. But yeah, I'll try and get an MF1 at some point as well. Yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it? All the variants you can get of sort of things. Get nearly on my mask Helen off of eBay because there's loads on eBay. Yeah, I'm sure Hype if I was after a certain one. How's the did you say the MF1 gives you a better field of view than TF1? I can't remember because I know some triangle lenses give you better field of views than round ones. Others don't. But I think you did say you had a good field of view of that, didn't you? Or was it somebody else that said that to me? But I like the look of the MF1. The mask I really want to get at some point is the Shum 2012. You know, that triangular lensed, like kind of looks like a PMK on a GP5M hood. Let me search that, Pedro. I really don't know, actually, off the top of my head. Okay, it is far better then. That's good to know. So it's a rocket refueling suit. I assume by the look of it, I can't completely tell, that you wouldn't need a normal NBC suit on over it because it's not really designed as an NBC warfare suit, from what I can tell. It's pretty much designed almost like a hazmat suit. So I think what the point of it is that you'd have like a rebreather or an oxygen mask on underneath. And then, yeah, that suit is literally, it's going to act like an NBC suit, but I think, yeah, it's more just that suit stops you getting splashed. Ah, okay, that's very cool, Laser. I'll definitely look into getting one at some point. Wow, it's not a pre-bought one, Steve. The head is from one place, and the shaft is just a broom handle. Now, what? Let's see if I can work out what the head was. I can't remember. Did I buy it from Celtic Web Merchant, or did I buy it from somewhere else? No, I didn't buy the head from Celtic. No, I bought it from Southern Swords, saying that. Right, let me go on Southern Swords, and I'll find it for you. I can give you a link. Because that's obviously the training one. Here you go, reenactment spearheads. There you go, Steve. It's those ones. Now, size-wise, it's either a small or a medium. I can't remember which one I went for. That might be the medium, I think, actually. I think the sockets are the exact same size on each of them. But, you know, it's just a spearhead. Sort of size varies. But you can also get live spearheads if you want live spearheads on there. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? A 2-foot-long spear blade, especially if you put on like a 6-foot-long spear pole. That'd be pretty intimidating. Oh, you're probably looking at the British Mark IV. The mask you're on about, Jacob, I'm pretty sure that's the Czechoslovakian, isn't it, licensed copy of the Mark IV. I'm pretty sure both Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia, prior to World War II, bought licensed copies of the Mark IV and had it with 40mm ports on them, which is actually kind of better than the British one, because the British one is always attached to a hose. Ah, sounds very good. FMJ09 is a simplified F2A4. So they've done kind of a simplified S10 as the FMJ08, and now they've done a simplified F2A4. Do you think the Chinese sort of designers are watching my videos and then making simplified versions based on the masks I recommend? I know that's not really the case. It's probably just because they're good masks, but it is kind of funny that it seems to be the masks I like, they also like doing. Yeah, I can. Now you say that it looks like a Fushida, I can definitely see that. If you change the XL cover to be like the grid one rather than those lines, it would definitely look like the F2A4. It's weird, I never saw that before, but I can see that now. So thanks for that. Yeah, so it's actually Chinese R&D Ghost Jesus. They watch my videos and then say, oh, let us do that design. But yeah, that's probably why those 3M style panoramic masks they do now, which are 40mm, are better than the pewter ones, because they knew that the strap design was inadequate from. It's a shame. What I'd love is how like Mike used to have the GearBest thing, or GearBest used to send him stuff, for like, you know, so you could put a link into it and hopefully get sales. So it's kind of like, you know, where you get paid to do a review. I wish there was a Chinese respirator company that would actually literally just send me non-stop brand new Chinese industrial respirators or whatever to do video reviews on, because I wouldn't even need to shill those. I literally think a lot of things like the FMJ05 are really good masks. PDF of $3.90 doesn't sound bad at all. What do you mean by a PAPR? Do you mean like a powered one? Let me Google it and see if I can get what you're getting at. Oh, like, yeah, powered air purifying respirator. I don't know if the Soviets ever came up with powered air purifying respirator, because most of the time when you see Soviet like guys with respirators on, they either just have ones with filters or they have scrubbers. I don't know if they actually ever bothered with like powered units. For labs, they might have done. I don't know. But a lot of labs also did the thing. I don't know if you've seen this from old movies and like documentaries, where they have a mask of an airline. It's on a really long airline. Then they attach the airline to like a bit on the ceiling where they're working, and then they like work from that bit on the airline. And then when they need to, they disconnect it and then move on to another bit of the airline. And I'm assuming that they somehow have enough air that they can, disconnect it and walk to the next airline without risking suffocating. But that's what I've always found interesting, where they're like just connected, like how you just plug something into a local plug socket. Like if you're charging your phone, it's like that, but they're plugged into airlines, almost like electricity when they're working in the lab. Yeah, that's what I was just sort of saying, so that's what I imagined. Maybe they did something like that. No, Juso, I really don't like, Jacob, I really don't like the Scott GSR. The Scott M98 is very good, but the GSR was made to be a copy of the Avon M50, and it was made to be as cheap as possible, so lots of components can fail quite easily, and it's like bulky and heavy and not all that great. Well, if you wanted to get something cheap, Helen, you could get something like a Soviet GP5, that one up there. But there's plenty of masks you can find on eBay cheap, so just find something you like the look of. But French M51s, Polish MC1s, Czech CM3s, sometimes even a Czech CM4, all the sorts of Soviet masks, really. There's a big choice of what you could get as a cheap first mask. So I'd say look for one that you think looks interesting and then start from there. Just don't breathe through old filters, because a lot of the old filters aren't safe to breathe through. They're fine to have in your house as a collectible. But let me Google the OZK NBC suit. I've probably not got that one, because I've got Polish L1, L2 suits. Oh, it's the like trench coaty looking one, isn't it? I'd definitely like to get one at some point, but I've not seen any yet for reasonable prices online. It's a thing I'll probably eventually get, and it's, again, going to take up a lot of space. What was you, Laser Point? I've missed the thing if you said something else. Well, it depends. If they're not stored properly, they'll actually get more brittle and dried out. But if you've got the GP5 like I've got there, where you're hanging it, which you're not meant to do, eventually that's going to keep stretching in size. Because a mask like a GP5 you can't really make smaller, but you can slowly over time make it bigger if it's constantly stretched. Because essentially it's just elasticy sort of latex rubber. So the mask does stretch out over time. Long-bladed hewing spear. Yeah, let me look that up before I forget, Steve. That's pretty impressive looking, isn't it? Looks a bit like a big boar spear, to be honest. I like how there's one that's come up on Amazon Prime, but it's out of stock. That's a shame. I'd love to order a big spear on Amazon. So it's, yeah, a windlass steelcraft one. Windlass has been fine in my opinion. I've got a couple of windlass things and all of them have been fine. Yeah, looks like a really big, nasty spear, doesn't it, for putting into a horse or like a boar or something. Oh yeah, bear spear. Well, that would work as well. But yeah, it looks like something you could stop a charging horse with or whatever, doesn't it? Yeah, I've got a Polish SR1. At some point, I have to dig out which cupboard I've stored it in and put it on for a spooky stream. You won't be able to hear me if I'm wearing it. All right, thank you, person with Asian text in the name. Oh, I see you saying that be you. All right, I didn't see you do a previous comment, so maybe YouTube didn't show it. But yeah. Now I'm going to probably get raided by MI5 or whatever, which think I'm going to be secretly helping out Chinese intelligence by helping them design masks. Because really all it comes down to is look at lots of gas masks throughout history that have been well made, avoid the ones that are shit. Look, you've made a good mask. Like, make the mask comfortable, give it good straps. Top secret military information, obviously. Okay, well, the first one definitely didn't show up when you said this is me, because I was getting confused then. Yeah, I've got a windlass mace, and I've got a windlass spearhead. My live spearhead's a windlass one, and I've got the windlass saber up there. All of them are fine. The windlass mace was the one that kept rusting weirdly, but that's stopped now. I gave it a really good, like, cleaned out all the rust that was on it and oiled it. So I really don't know what caused that, but the windlass spearhead's been absolutely fine. The windlass saber's absolutely fine. Just to show you that, because I'll get it down while it's handy, because we're on about windlass stuff. I'm just trying not to touch the metal on the scabbard, because that can rust easily, but there you go. See if I can get it back far enough that you can get to see the there you go. I might look into one of those officers' kukris then, but yeah, the sort of US cavalry saber I really like, because this is if you wanted to get something a bit like the 1796 saber that Cold Steel do, but a lot cheaper, you can get these for like 130 quid or something from Southern Swords. It's still all a proper carbon steel sword. It's just because Windlass don't charge an arm and a leg for their stuff. It's yeah, it's a nice saber. Obviously, you do quickly learn of a saber like this that it does require a lot of forearm muscle to swing effectively. I mean, obviously, a big saber like that is designed to be on horseback. You know, you ride along the momentum of a horse and do that to cut off heads or cut people down. But yeah, Viking stuff should be good. But yeah, like I said, windlass is quite nice because windlass stuff is at affordable prices. Because the problem I have is like I like cold steel stuff, but a lot of the cold steel stuff is very expensive for what it is. I mean, if you compared a windlass saber to a cold steel saber, I doubt there's very much difference in terms of build quality and like durability of it. But the windlass one's going to be like a third of the price. OM90. Is that the modern Czech mask, like the modern Czech Republic one that looks kind of like the S10? Let me Google it. Oh yeah, it is. It's the one that looks a bit like an S10. Sadly, I don't. I'd love to get one at some point. It looks quite sinister, doesn't it, that mask? The head strap looks better on it than this. And saying that's a 5-point, not a 6-point. But yeah, it's quite creepy looking, isn't it? Yeah, like saying, I don't mind paying a lot for a sword if it's been hand commissioned for you, because obviously, like with the falchion. Oh, have a look at some of Windlass's falchions, Steve. Actually, before you commit to buying a sword, because some of theirs look nice. But yeah, obviously, my falchion. This is the favorite of all my swords, and this is one I had commissioned. It's a 22-inch blade one. But this was obviously like over £400 because it was commissioned exactly as I wanted it. But if you were to get a windlass one, was that a bit of rust on there? No, it's not rust, it's like a smear. I'll clean that off in a minute. I don't like having that on there. Do that bloody now, actually. Have I got any sword oil? Where's my sword oil gone? That's a good question. Where's my oily cloth? Oh, it's alright. Have you done the greybeard thing yet, Mike? So you can actually go to the Dawn Guard, sort of, not Dawn Guard. Tell you what, I'll see if some silicon lubricant gets us on. No, I've got a couple of sharpening stones, but I don't have any proper whetstones. Right, not like a spinning whetstone anyway. I've got a grinding wheel, but I wouldn't ever use that on the nice thing like the falchion. Ah, good, you started more and stuff. If you're not too far into the game yet, Mike, the bone mold armor you can get for free there. My special sock. I'd be a bit worried if it was that colour. It means I'd be bleeding internally, wouldn't it? It's a very peach comment, I think. But yeah, you can get the bone mold armor. Sometimes there's like dead guards of it on. And the nice thing of the bone mold armor, Mike, is you can upgrade it using bone meal from skeletons rather than the actual like metal ingots. So it's quite a cheap armor to upgrade early game. I mean, it gets outdated pretty quickly. All right, that's cool, Steve. Yeah, I was just sort of saying, because I like falchions, you know, Windlass do some factory kind of, well, they're not factory, but you know what I mean, mass-produced falchions at a reasonable price. That was just all I was getting at, really, with that. But, right, I might as well, because I can't find my sword oil, I might as well just silicone lube this up so it protects the sword. Again, I'll probably have to look into cleaning that mark off at some point using something a bit stronger. It's not rust. I'm not sure how I've done that, but whatever. No, you're not too far off saying it's a Seiko. It's an Orient Mako 2. So Seiko technically own the rights to it because Orient's owned by it, but it's the Orient Japanese movement that I've watched that they also do. Yeah, wire wool might work. Good shout. But yeah, I'll be very gentle and do that off the stream when I do it because obviously this is my prize sword. I mean, I don't mind a little bit of kind of antiquing to the metal, but obviously I don't want anything to degrade on it. Yeah, it looks kind of almost like something's stained on there after an impact. I don't know exactly what, but it does actually look kind of like I hacked it through somebody, doesn't it? And then their blood's not been cleaned off properly. But USM 45 gas mask, if you can find one of those for £21, definitely. They're pretty hard to find. GM30s from World War II. Mate, there's not many of those canvassy kind of masks. British Mark IV's stockinette, which blocking you a bit. British Mark IV is stockinette, not canvas, but that's a similar thing. And that's actually a rubber mask with a canvas on top that way, so that would actually make a good face seal for most people. Not that I'd recommend using an old asbestos red filter mask. But chuck that back down there. And as I said, then later on at some point, I'll give that falchion a really good oil and a very gentle scrape of wire wool and see if I can clean that off. So it's strange because I don't know what's caused that, but strange. As I said, it's not the end of the world because I like that blade looking a bit antique, but it's strange. Oh, when you say vintage M45, do you mean the light anti-gas respirator, Jacob? Yeah, that's still worth it for about £20. Do you know if it's a Mark 1 or Mark 2 one? But yeah, they're generally called British light anti-gas respirators. Or technically it could be the Mark 6 GSR, but yeah, it's the light anti-gas respirator. Polish FP5 filters FSA ball. Modern Russian or Chinese filters like the ABEX style ones or the AB2 ones or whatever would all fit as well. Well, they sort of did. Remember, because I was showing that earlier, I've taken a cheap filter out. But yeah, they sort of did. I need to take the 3M filters out of this before I forget, so I can actually use the 3M mask again. Yeah, they did do a cheek filter mask. It's just one big cheek filter, not two cheek filters. Where did the 3M mask go? Oh, I spotted my sword oil now. It was behind another bottle, which is why I couldn't see it. There we go. Okay, Scotch Brite. I'll see if I've got any of that laying around. Thanks, Rich. Sadly, I don't really know any of the models of modern Russian filters, Pedro, but I'm sure pretty much any of the modern Russian ones, as long as they've got the ABEX style markings on them, they're in date, would be alright. As I said, I don't really know particular models. Let's put this one away. Where's he run off to now, that other half face for us? There it is. There's that filter. It depends which versions, because there's some different variants of these. This one came with really bad filters, but as it has the 3M fittings, it's actually good. But there's different makes of 3M rip-offs, so it's going to depend on the 3M rip-off you actually get. But the one I've got, I'd actually recommend. Yeah, if you just buy real 3M filters, it's pretty good. Right, Vladimir? I'm afraid I'm not on for much longer now. I'm sure there'll be some idiots that definitely do it Beast Box. I mean, hopefully some people just go out there, camp out in the desert and have a bit of fun at a safe distance from the perimeter. But I'm sure you can rely on some people to go up there and get shot by trying to charge into a secure airbase. Right, so this one's with this bag, isn't it? I need to make sure I get all the bags correct for these so I don't confuse the bits. So, yeah, we'll put away Chinese copy of PMG, M69, which is a pretty good master anyway. Keep up there and don't fall down. This one was 6 in the box anyway. It's got M98 sits on top of that one, so that will be secure. This filter I just put loose up there. Then I'll pop those two away in a minute when the stream ends. So I don't know if I've missed any comments or am I still up to date. But yeah, I'll be finishing in a minute or two. So I'll be on Twitch later watching Mike play some more Skyrim. I don't think I have. Let me Google it. 1944 IMDb 2015, yeah? No, I've not seen that. Yeah, it looks alright. I'll try and remember to check that out. I'll bookmark it so I remember the IMDb page. But yeah, I'd not even heard of that, I don't think. Oh, it's included with Prime, so I can actually watch it on Amazon Prime. Or is that a different one that's showing that it thinks is the same thing? No, that's a different film. Damn it. Yeah, for whatever reason, Amazon's like, oh, this film's available on Prime, and it's showing me a different World War II film. Yeah. Before I go off, in the link, see where Weapon Collectors put a Twitch link. If anybody wants to join him, because I said he's welcome to put his Twitch link on my YouTube videos. He streams on there most nights around 10 p.m. Is that a Rhodesian thing? Operation Elam sounds familiar. I'm not sure about the other one, but the other one sounds like a Rhodesian one, doesn't it? Let me Google. Oh, it's the same one. Yeah, because that's the thing. I'm sorry, I knew it was Operation Eland. Was that the one where they went in the armored cars? I can't actually make out your profile picture from here, but where they went in the armored cars to the parade ground and they tricked the soldiers into letting them in, and then they machine gunned them all for the ones. Operation Dingo's a really impressive one, isn't it? With the Rhodesian SAS, where they killed like 3,000 plus guerrillas, wasn't it? And they only had like 1 or 2 casualties. Was that the one where they pumped the opioid gas in, Steve? And they did actually save a lot of lives, even though a lot of people died. It's one where people go, "Oh, Russians can't handle a thing." But it's like, if you read up on it, you'd know all the doors were rigged with explosives and everything. Yeah, Operation Dingo's the one where they had like the de Havilland vampires and everything, wasn't it? Ghost Jesus, and they were doing all the strafing runs with those. And I think they had 1 SAS soldier killed, didn't they? And 1 pilot killed, but otherwise they like inflicted like something like 2,000, 3,000 to 1 kill death ratio. China's still definitely manufacturing TF1 because they make it for industry use. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of, Snafu. But yeah, some of the Rhodesian bush force stuff's really interesting, isn't it, to read about how good the Rhodesian forces were in terms of, obviously, like in the end they couldn't win the war because so many other countries were essentially ganging up on them and sanctioning them and everything. But in terms of how effective a fighting force they were. I can't really put in the description, Commie, because it's not my thing, it's Mike's. What's a Robert NBC suit? I'm afraid I don't know that. But see Weapon Collector, he posted a link just now, it's his Twitch. Anyway, I'll be off now. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the very generous donation, as always, Laser. We'll see how I can fit up that M65 soon with more appropriate filters. Hopefully we'll find something that works completely. I'll stream tomorrow, but as tomorrow's Friday, I'm probably likely to be streaming sort of UK time between any time between like 12 and 3 p.m. So early afternoon UK time, because on Friday evenings I'm getting ready to sort of just rest and have work the next day. But cheers, thank you. And yeah, that M65 is going to be an ongoing project for me, I reckon, now, to see if I can get it to work convincingly like the original mask, just with a better, safe modern filter in it. Right, cool. So, see you, everybody. Thanks for joining in. It's been a great stream. See ya.